A very good evening, Zimbabwe. You are listening to Studio 7 from the Voice of America on Friday, March 27th, 2015. And this is Live Talk. I'm Blessing Zulu.
And I'm Kip Stube.
And tonight on Live Talk, we are going to talk about prepaid water meters.
To join the discussion, phone us directly at this number 001-202-619-2077 and we'll call you back.
And as usual, Live Talk goes out to Zimbabwe on our 909 medium wave frequency and on the 4930-5940 and 15455 kilohertz shortwave, Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m.
On the internet, you can find us at www.voazimbabwe.com, www.voandebele.com, and www.voashona.com.
Once again, thanks for joining us, and this is Studio 7 Live Talk. And tonight on Live Talk, we are going to talk about the prepaid water meters.
Harare residents today stormed the townhouse during a full council meeting and staged a protest challenging the installation of prepaid meters in the capital city. The demonstration follows a statement by Town Clerk Tendai Mahachi confirming that the council would soon roll out the program.
In the city of Kings and Queens, the Bulawayo Progressive Residents Association has called on the Bulawayo City Council and the government to abandon plans to introduce prepaid water meters. The pressure group said the proposal was unworkable under the country's socio-economic context, which is characterized by high unemployment. Gibbs.
What are your views on this issue? If you wish to join the show right now, phone us directly at this number 001-202-619-2077 and we'll call you back. That number again 001-202-619-2077. Yeah, ask for it.
And of course, you can send us a message on WhatsApp. Our number is 001-202-465-0318. onguka amadzadiwa nhasi tinoda kuti tinge tichitarisa nezvenyaya yema-prepaid water meters. Vazhinji munoziva prepaid meters anga achishandiswa pamagetsi ekuti munoenda kunotenga magetsi musati maashandisa, asi makanzuro akawanda munyika anenge ari kuti ndo zvirongwa zvaakuda kuti anga achiparurawo zvekuti vanhu vanokwanisa kuti vange vachitenga mvura vasati vaishandisa, asi vagari vemunzvimbo dzakati wandei vari kuti apa hurumende inenge yaakupinda nemwenje mudziva, vachitiwo havasi kuzvitambira nekuti zvinozopa kuti varombo vanetseke, vachitiwo bumbiro remutemo rinoti iro kuwanisa vanhu mvura kana kuti munhu akwanise kunge achiwana mvura ikodzero yemunhu, nekudaro kuda kuti mvura itengeswe zvinogona kunge zvopedzisira zvochikora izvo kodzero dzevanhu. Gibbs.
Zulu kandaba lingatshona njani lapha elikhona khona ngapho ke ngemakaya thina ngapha lo blessing siyaphila sibili okwamakama. Udaba ekuthweni namhlanje sixoxa khonokho ke okuthiwa ngama-prepaid meters. Sokumele ukuthi kufakwe khona ngale eHarare bakhuluma ngakho sibili ukuthi sokulungiselelwa kakhulu ukuthi afakwe lama-prepaid meters. Siyakwazi-ke koBulawayo abantu bayadla bathi vele bangeke bakufuna lokhu ukuthi kufakwe khona ngale ezimpompini zabo. Bathi khona kuyenza ukuthi umuntu agcine ngasenelisi ukusebenzisa amanzi ngendlela efaneleyo. Njalo bakhona na blessing ngokuthi ama-council lawa ayihluleka ubanika amanzi. So ke ungafaka imeter suhle waqeda konke. So kuyahlupha kakhulu.
And I think we have our first guest, that is Mr. Roderick Fayayo, Director of the Bulawayo Progressive Residents Association. Mr. Fayayo, good evening.
Good evening, friend. How are you?
We are doing fine. And of course, Gibbs, you can start the ball rolling because
yes,
I think Bulawayo started the fight against these prepaid water meters sometime last year when they held a very successful protest. Gibbs.
Mr. Fayo, I think you've been on the ground there. Tell us exactly what has happened up to now in terms of these water meters.
What happened is that in 2013, in December, Bulawayo City Council, by way of a resolution, resolved to put prepaid water meters in Bulawayo, starting with a pilot project in Country Park. Ever since then, we've been trying to have engagements with the Bulawayo City Council. Our first engagement was with the mayor, where we tried to understand, as the 35 resident associations gathered at Montgomery, we invited the mayor of Bulawayo to try and understand what exactly was the concept of prepaid water meters. And our conclusion after meeting him was that the man was not aware, had no idea of what prepaid water meters looked like. And our question was, how then did the Bulawayo City Council resolve on that matter when the mayor had no idea of what has been happening? And a number of initiatives were done to try and engage Bulawayo City Council, but the Bulawayo City Council was adamant that one, there was a directive from the national government, central government, to say all local authorities will put prepaid water meters. And that is why 18 organizations in Bulawayo came together to say, no, we don't want prepaid water meters. And that was based on around 4 reasons. The first reason was to say that the National Development Plan of Zimbabwe, read together with the Constitution of Zimbabwe, says that before such things are done, there should be consultation. And actually, if you look at the resolution of Bulawayo City Council, it acknowledges that there was no consultation. It says that they will do a consultation after a resolution. And our argument was that they should have done a consultation before a resolution. Secondly, the socio-economic conditions in Zimbabwe do not allow for prepaid water meters, because what it simply means is that the poor will suffer and the rich will get better. It means that the poor will have to prioritize in terms of what to use the water for. One, people might decide not to bath. Two, also, you know that women need water the most, and they might decide not to engage in other processes and resulting in unhealthy situations. But also, when we look at the implications of prepaid water meters on public health, we begin to see that there are problems. We don't need to go very far. If you look at South Africa, between 2000 and 2002, they had their worst cholera outbreak, and it was directly related with the prepaid water meters. And our argument is that with these lessons, why is it that local authorities in Zimbabwe are going on to propose to use prepaid water meters? Those basically have been the bone of contention for us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fayayo. For those of you who are just joining us, this is Studio 7 Live Talk. And tonight on Live Talk, we are talking about the prepaid water meters. Some councils are saying they are going to roll out the programs to introduce these prepaid water meters. But residents are resisting, saying this is actually unconstitutional because water is a right that is guaranteed in the Constitution of Zimbabwe. And we have our second guest, that is Mr. Precious Shumba of the Harare Residents Trust, one of the founders and directors. Mr. Shumba, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. And of course, Mr. Fayawe said that there is already a pilot project in Country Park in Bulawayo. What is the situation like in Harare?
In Harare, what we have is the council, through the town clerk, has made statements to the effect that they would want to undertake a pilot project on prepaid water meters in Mapuku. And for your information, the Mapuku residents have gone for years without water. And even now, despite the Chinese loan, the people in Mapuku, Tafara, and Chishanje still do not get consistent water supplies. when they have water, maybe it's twice in 2 weeks, and most of the time they don't have water. They depend on shallow wells. Initially, when they spoke about introduction of prepaid water meters, they gave the impression that they wanted to do it in an area where there is consistent water supply, and they indicated to us they would target the avenues area. Unfortunately, the town clerk Mahachi has indicated they want to do it on a pilot project in Mapuku, but we are saying that is a waste of resources, because if you recall, 2 years ago, the city of Harare launched another project where they said they were launching a project to replace stuck water meters or dysfunctional water meters in order to have accurate water billing. That was a major issue. We thought they would target areas with consistent water supplies. Instead, they chose Mapuku and Tafara again. And what were they dealing? Air, because the residents there don't get consistent water supply. So that project died an unknown death, because we never heard them speaking about it again. So now they are introducing something without first completing the first task, which is to deal with water distribution and their billing system.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shumba. And I think we have our third guest, Gibbs. That is Councillor Colin Ndlovu from Caudry Park in Bulawayo. Gibbs.
Mr. Ndlovu, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, how are you?
Oh, very fine. How is Kalanyoni? We call Caudry Park Kalanyoni, right?
Yeah, Kalanyoni is okay.
So tell us, what is happening in terms of this, prepaid water meters? That program was supposed to start in Caudry Park. Is there anything visible on the ground?
Yeah, we are now going to start to put prepaid meter in Caudry Park. Because the Caudry Park is the word which they are starting to try that pilot project.
Now, what is the aim here? People are resisting, but you are starting the project as council, and people don't want it. So why go ahead?
Those who are saying, people are saying they don't want, I don't know where they stay, because me as a councillor of the ward, I went several times consulting people of that area, and they told me that they want prepaid meters in their houses, not in the standby. So those who are saying people are resisting, I don't know, because as a councillor, every weekend I go for the meetings and address people, and they tell me that they want prepaid meters in their houses.
Maybe, Mr. Fayo, can you react to what Mr. Ndlovu is saying?
You see, that is the challenge with having leaders that are, one, so unreliable, two, that cannot be able to face the truth. Because in all the meetings that we have had in Caudry Park, Councillor Colin Ndlovu has been there. And in one of the meetings, actually, he ended up suggesting that residents form a committee. And because the Council of Bulawayo was expecting Minister Chombo to come to Bulawayo, he suggested that they go to Bulawayo City Council, meet the town clerk, and request for a meeting with Minister Chombo, so as to explain to him that they did not want these prepaid water meters. So for us, we don't know where he is getting these people from Caudry Park who are saying that they don't want these meters. And to the extent that we end up getting the impression that actually there might be something for some of these councillors. That is why they are so bent on forcing this thing on the thought of the residents. Probably there is something that they want to gain. And up to now, we're still asking what exactly is it that they are gaining.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Please do stay on the line. An interesting debate, of course. And we have several messages on WhatsApp. Let's start with Lawrence. Lawrence writes, it's better to have prepaid water meters and to receive better services. Those who are rejecting the prepaid meters are those who do not pay water bills. Nothing is for free in this world. Tawanda says, prepaid for what? There is no commodity. Justin says, it's a good idea. Roy says, we want water first. Carrington says, kanzuru inenge yaomesera vagari sezvo dzimwe nzvimbo dzakaita sebudiriro dzava nemakore dzichitambura vanhu vasina mvura, marara haasi kutakurwa nguva nenguva, mastreet lights, nzvimbo zhinji irima. Ngavatange vagadzirisa zvinhu izvi, mvura yacho inotobuda papombi ine tsvina. Kuchi says prepaid is good. It ensures people save water. If electricity works well with these prepaid meters, what's the fuss? Matthew says, yes, it will improve water supplies and money to the city coffers to the detriment of the residents. Many are too poor to afford to pay for their water in advance. Farai says, eat first, pay later. Justin says, I personally think nothing is wrong with prepaid meters. It reduces wastage of water. Columba says, while residents in Harare and Bulawayo reject prepaid meters, I feel this will give relief to unscrupulous water billing systems, especially in Chimani-Mani, where water is in abundance. We welcome it here. Violet says, prepaid meters are excellent if water is always available. Andile says, yeah, as people, we should learn to pay for what we use rather than lament poor service delivery when we are not paying our dues. Very interesting discussion on WhatsApp, Gibbs, on this issue. Some are for the prepaid water meters. Some are totally against.
Yes. We've got several messages too on Facebook. We've got one from Trinity who writes, those organizations do not represent the people. Listen to what us, the people, say. Put the meters now. Then I've got Mavengere Moken who writes, when the meters are there, you pay what you use. We need clean water. And then we've got another message from Mozari who writes, we need pre-meters today. Down with those bogus representatives. Then Shines Kondo writes, prepaid meters is the way to go. This will help us to maintain our bills. Then we've got Nopet who writes, the city of Harare should not listen to these fake organizations. Prepaid meters is the best thing for them to collect much needed revenue. Then Silomla Zerovela kusakile khona ngale ke eBotswana Pale City. Mina ngibona engani amamita kawafakwe ngoba amanzi achacha ungaboni, ibhili iyabuya iphezulu njalo nxa out of the country iyakhwela, amaloja ayingabhadale amanzi aze avalwe. So ma bezithengela amanzi basebenzise ngokulungileyo njalo uzahlala ukwazi ukuthi imali oyisebenzisayo imalini yamanzi. That is a better way to go. Ngithi amamita kawafakwe. Then we've got Charles Fraser Mtombe who writes, whatever will leave all this, whatever it is, will leave all this to the country of Zimbabwe. I think this one is surrendered.
Interesting. Tine muteereri wedu kutanga nyasha. Makadi?
Makasimbere wakuru wangu.
Aiwa, tiripo nyaya iri mudariro mainzwa ndema prepaid water meters. Munoona sei?
Prepaid water meters ndinoona sekunga ari right kunga chiiswa muno.
Sei muchidaro?
Mari.
That sei muchiti akanaka hawo.
Akanaka wai bozi munhu anotanga bhadhara mvura asikaishandisa. Vagana kuti munhu anobhadhara mvura kupera kumwedzi anozoita ana mari achabhadhari kumite kuze mita yezovharwa. Kanzuru inopesera kuita zvikwereti nezvinhu zvemahara wana usikadi kubhadhara mari iyoyo.
Ko zviri kutaurwawo nevamwe vagari zvekuti mari yacho hapana nekuti vanhu havasi kushanda nekudaro mvura ikavharwa, imimi mukakwanisa kubhadhara mukomanyasha vepanext door asina mvura pakaita kolera nemiwo munopedzisira makurwara.
Yeah, zvinhu zvinozwanika hazvo, but nowadays even mukatatarisa handisi kune nhau yemaprepaid yemagetsi handisi. Vanhu havasi kushanda but panhu tiri kutorarama nazvo and ndikati tiri kusati takutojairira chijairire kuti munhu unotanga watonobhadhara magetsi asikadi usitawo mashandisa. Zvaza kuti munhu pane chabhiwi remagetsi munhu haabhadhari hani mudza gepi randikudzara kutaura.
Asi kamukomanyasha magetsi akasiyana nemvura ka unogona kurarama usina magetsi, ungararama here usina mvura?
haizi inogona rambo kune zvibhorani wobhosi zvakazara zvimugodhi zvezia vanogona kunochera ikoko vanenge vasingadi zvavo but iwe kuti kanzu redu inosimuka dzaro dzanotiramba ichidzika pasi.
Vamwe mukomanyasha vari kutaura kuti nyangwe mukabhadhara mari yacho kanzuru mukatarisa mari iri kubhadharwa ivo vakuru vacho vekanzuru yakawandisa. Vamwe vacho vanenge vachitenga dzimotikari nezvimwe zvakadaro daro, mari yacho haisi kuenda kumasevhisi acho.
Haisi kuenda masevhisi but munozvati chiri kuitika nowadays mudana. Vanhu vanenge vachiona zvinenge zvichiitika ndirika razana zvimwe ega munhu yari kufunga motikari zvimwe mari yake yari kushandisa kuti haazivi mabhindauko anenge achiita munhu paupenyu.
Aiwa, tinotenda zvikuru mukomanyasha.
Aiwa, iri bomba.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Of course, Nyasha is saying he supports prepaid meters, and I was asking him if this is not going to present problems, you know, because water is a right. He was comparing it to electricity, and they said the two cannot be compared because you can do without electricity. You can use firewood. There are other alternatives, but certainly not water. But he says those who cannot afford can take advantage of bowls and wells, you know. So he supports the idea of prepaid water meters. His reasoning being that this will actually improve revenue for the councils because many people are not paying their bills.
Yes, kaze konapo babafaya uzwile besipala lapha imlayezelo ethunyezwe ngabantu ku Facebook na WhatsApp kukhanya udliwa livoti la. Abantu bathi amamita kawafakwe. Nomzana, nasindaba.
Kulento ezimbili dukofuze sizinanzelele. Okokuqala ukuthi kathi vele amamitha lawo esifuna wafaka aresponda ukuyini. What exactly is the problem? Kumhlangano wethu esibelayo le council yakobulawayo bathi khona bona amamitha lawo kufanele ngamanzi. Okuthi umuntu uzathola ibhili izinto ungazibe le mitha uzathola single ibhili yakho leyana ezinye izinto lana uzayithola ibhili yakho leyana. And thina problem esilayo ukuthi yindaba amakhansila efuna ukuthenga amamitha ayi-$250 ukuthi be-recover amanzi awe-$2 ngenyanga. And ukuthi ungazole calculate khonapho ukuthi imali yemitha eyi-1 sithatha 5 years ukuthi uzuyithole. And ungakhangela imitha le esetshenziswayo dube i-lifespan yayo i-between 5 years and 7 years kayidluli khonapho. Kuthi ukuthi siqeda ukubhadala 5 years saye sifuna ukuthenga enye futhi. Okwesibili ukuthi ungakhangela dube ama-councillors lawo ama-council yona lawo ane-problem yokuthi akwanisi ukuresponda masinyane to ama-sewer-based nalo okujayele ukufa ecounsilini. Ucabanga ukuthi amamitha sesendlini ngendlela amamitha ezesafa ngayo ucabanga ukuthi abazakwanisa yini ukuresponda adequate yini masinyane futhi ukuthi abantu benjani bethola amanzi abo. Yikho kwayenzakala eSouth Africa ukuthi amamitha akolapsa wonke abantu bathatha 3 days 4 days bengela manzi bacala besiya kwezinye indawo ama-unsafe water sources bayabuka bacina bebulawa yicholera. Khonokho bazakwenza njani? Okunye futhi kusuzibuza ukuthi alright i-event ukuthi abantu bagulile linezibhedlela yini ezemithi labantu bokuzivuzela akula zibhedlela okutshengisela ukuthi kungathiwa soko lo mkhuhlane wecholera namuhla uzamamatheka ukugcwala indawo yonke. Ungakhohlwa ukuthi eSouth Africa waqalisela e-KZN waspreada kwaze kwafika ama-provinces angu-9 wonke yiyo aba yi-West cholera outbreak bafa bonke laba babelawo amamitha lawo bayakwanisa ukuthi ukufa futhi ngecholera yakhona. So mina engizibuza khona ukuthi khonokhu konke bathe bengakakwenzi bawucabanga yini ukuthi bazophila lakho njani.
So I think Mr. Fire really is adamant that this is a very wrong concept altogether. So he says, you know, how do you manage the system? If these meters collapse at one stage or the other, our council is going to manage to actually repair them. Because in most cases, when you look at the ZESA meters, whenever there's a problem, it takes time, you know, to repair them. So he says there could be some crisis, you know, lurking around.
Before we go to council and love regati dzokere kuna vashumba mwe muteereri wedu mukomanyasha vanenge vativo vasina mari vanoshandisawo mvura dzemuzvibhorani kana kuti dzemumatsime munoti kudi?
Chekutanga chatinoda kutaura seHarare Residents Trust takakurukura nevagari munzvimbo dzakawanda. Vagari vari kuramba nyaya yema-prepaid water meters. MuHarare mune maboreholes akati wandei akacherwa neUNICEF, akacherwa neLiveTalk Latter-day Saints akacherwa nemamwewo ma-NGOs akaita sana Oxfam. Mabohos iwayo nearly 60% haasi kushanda. Uko Kanzuru kune vanhu vanenge vaine zvimwe zvikwereti nekuti bill harizi kuuya richinzi nderemvura rega. Vari kuvharira vanhu mvura. Kunyangwe HRT ichikurudzira kuti vanhu vese vavharirwa mvura ngavaivhure nekuti Kanzuru haisi kupa mabills ari separate emvura. Isusu panyaya yema-prepaid water meters tine zvinhu zvakati kuti zvatiri kutarisa. Kune nyaya yebilling, kune nyaya yekuti iyo mari iri kumbowanikwa pamvura pari zvino musito farari iri kushandiswa kundobhadhara vashandi wasiri wekuHarare Water. Tikatarisa masalaries ari kuzopiwa vana Tendai Mahachi muHarare nemamanagers makuru vari kutora mari ingangodarike $500,000 vari vanhu vashoma shoma. Rudhende rweKanzuru vashandi vachiwana mari diki diki. Chimwe zvakare chinoda kuti chitarisiswe nevagari ndechekuti pakutarisa nyaya yekuintroducwa kwema-prepaid water meters, vashandi weKanzuru ndivo vari kunyanya kuve pamberi pekuti ngative nema-prepaid water meters. Vaine chinangwa chekuti vari kuda kuti wawane mari yekuti wapiwe pakupera kwemwedzi. Asi nyaya huru iripo ndeyekuti these prepaid meters are being introduced at the instigation of senior council management so that they have their salaries. But the issue is about the distribution network. In Harare alone, officially they have reported for 2 consecutive years in their budget statements that 30% of water is being lost through leakages along the distribution network due to aged underground pipes. A further 30% is being lost through theft of water by illegal connections, by people who are working with council officials. We are concerned that 60% of the water that is pumped is not being billed.
Mr. Shumba,
to be the priority for council to
Mr. Shumba,
the distribution of water.
Mr. Shumba, we'll come back to you. We just want to bring in Mr. Councillor Ndlovu. Gibbs, if you can just quickly pause it. Listen to him.
Yeah, Baba Ndlovu zwile lapha umnumzana ufaya sithi lokho ngani kwenzakala ungani akulunganga njalo ungazani okunye kwangikhona liyabona ngani sengezimithi kancane
ngiyamuzwa sibili into ayitshoyo kodwa kayisiyo etshiwo ngabantu. Thina siqala ukukhuluma ngalinto into leka isoze ifakwe iCowdry Park yonke. Bona sasiqala ukuthi siyofaka khona saqala ngokukhuluma labo. Waqala kwabizwa ama-leaders abo sathi hambanini liyekhuluma labantu bahamba bayakhuluma labantu babuya abantu bavumile.
bamba kancane Ndlovu.
Association ithi hayi abantu bayala sabuyela futhi
bamba kancane Ndlovu. Siyabuya kuwe Ndlovu ubambe kancane sesiqalisa kuhlandlela ubuyayo seqalisa kuwe.
Of course, unfortunately for our radio listeners, it ends here. The good news, though, is that we are continuing to stream live, and we are also on YouTube. And you can go to our page, our VOA page, and go to the Zimbabwe program, and this program will be screened there. And of course, Gibbs, we want our listeners to stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned, www.voazimbabwe.com. This is Gibbs in Washington, D.C.
Once again, thanks for joining us. And this is Studio 7 Live Talk. And tonight on Live Talk, we are talking about prepaid water meters. Councils in Harare and Bulawayo have indicated that they will not be going back on this issue. They will be introducing them out. In fact, there are pilot projects that are already operating. But the residents are saying because of the country's economic situation, residents cannot afford to pay water in advance. And they are also saying that the move to install prepaid water meters is unconstitutional because water in the Constitution of Zimbabwe is a guaranteed right. What is your take on this development, Gibbs?
If you wish to join the show right now, phone us directly at this number, 001-202-619-2077, and we'll call you back. That number again, 001-202-619-2077. And of course, we've got three guests today. One of them is Mr. Roderick Fayo, the director of the Bulawayo Progressive Residents Association. We've got Mr. Konatin Ndlovu, who is a councillor for Ward 28 in Bulawayo. And then we've got Mr. Precious Shumba, who belongs to the Harare Residents Trust. So if you want to join the show right now, this one, Lakatesi, Stokeni Zurugandaba. Nasi nombolo 001-202-619-2077. Ye besakuka lo Ndlovu lapha. Baba Ndlovu usakhuluma laphana. Ngakhona ukuthi la kwenza okunye kwangikhona ukuthi abantu babuye phela. Baze abafunayo bafake la mamita kulapha ke Country Park. Akusitshela ukuthi kume njani?
Okungimangalisa ukuthi kungani ukuthi abantu bonabo abazange baconsulte abantu baconsultwa savumelana labo ukuthi kona hayi esikufunayo ukuthi ama-prepaid meter lawa afakwe ezindlini angafakwa ngoba lapho esasikhuluma khona kulala kuthiwa ngama-standpipe abakabi lama-services akwanele basebesithi bona kungaba lama-service akwanele thina sifuna lisifakele ezindlini abazange batsho ukuthi ama-prepaid meter bayafuna kodwa kungumangalisayo nxa bekhuluma besithi bona umuntu kuthiwa kaqale athenge thina njengobulawayo sile free water esiyinika abantu ngenyanga about 5,000 liters esiyinika abantu free kanti ukuthenga sibe sithi ke lawa amanye oyabe sifuna ukuthi wasebenzise siwabhadalela laba abanye okuchiyanayo ukuthi besithi khona bangaqeda 5,000 liters leyana sethi bagcila kubhili laphana yikho ukuthi senza ukuthi sibe ne-49 million eyaphethwa isiba i-right of i-directive ye-government so kathese sithi thina ingcono kufaka ama-prepaid nithi wenzela ukuthi umuntu singamnika i-free water leyana esuka khona phana-ke ku-free water sekufanele abhadale okuphambili ngoba sesike sa-experiensa okwenzakala emuva singaphetha phela ubulawayo ecollapsa singabe lokho silandela lokho siyezwa abantu bathi ku-constitution amanzi i-right i-right yomuntu sibili amanzi i-education i-right yomuntu ilokuzeni i-medication i-right yomuntu yonke into i-right yomuntu kodwa kufanele uyibhadale ayikho ukuthi i-right yomuntu ukuthi kufuze uyithathe mahhala
mbona ngazani ngingaku-misinterpreta ngavele ngizama ukuthi ngitolike lapha nokhulume khona nge-quantity yamanzi lapho okumethi asupply umuntu mahala bese uyabhadalwa ngicela ukufaka ngesikhiwa ukuthi abantu bakuzwe kuhle.
What I'm saying is here in Bulawayo we give people of Bulawayo free water 5,000 liters per month. That's what we do as Bulawayo. So if we say people are going to pay first, I don't know what they mean.
So that water is for free, 5,000 liters?
Yes, it's 5 kiloliter, which is 5,000 liters per month. We are giving free in Bulawayo.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Shumba, I think we had another discussion last week with the Deputy Mayor of Harare, Councillor Muzua, and he was saying something about some water being given for free by councils every month. What is your take on this? Is this a catch? Mr. Shumba?
Zua said, I listened to him. You hear that he was non-committal. That was not a policy position. He was simply trying to escape from scrutiny. But what we know is that the prepaid water meters are not presently feasible to implement, given the low levels of water supplies, given the socio-economic situation, and given the prioritization. It is not a priority emanating from public discussions with the citizens or any other stakeholders. So presently we rejected them, and we are in the communities mobilizing them to reject them, because this is an idea emanating from Ministry of Local Government, coming through the Town Clerks Forum, where they, in our view, have already secured the people to supply the prepaid water meters. And what they are also saying is the residents will get these prepaid water meters. They are not coming for free. They are going to bill residents for the purchase of the prepaid water meters. And for what end? Currently, when a meter is stuck, they are forcing residents to buy these meters. And instead of leaving replace the meter, they take it also, and they say it now belongs to council, when the council is not invested in it. We are concerned that Ministry of Local Government officials, water, and town clerks are involved in this. We believe it's a scandal unfolding. It just needs more information, and the town clerks are not giving that information. Most of the council officials are reluctant to share extensively on what this project entails. And in Harare, you know that they intend to privatize Harare Water, so that some of the councillors will no longer have the oversight role on the management of water funds, on the management of the water infrastructure. We are really frightened by these moves, and that's the reason we object to this introduction, because it is not being done to respond to concerns of the citizens. It is being done to line the pockets of senior managers in council who want to manipulate the whole process, and in the end have monopoly without our elected representatives involved in the governance of water.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shumba. Gibbs.
Lapha ke sengilomuntu ecingweni blessing singahambi kumnumzana ofayayo ngentole umama lapha kuthiwa ngusakhile ne ukhona ngale ke eBotswana. Ulitshona njani mama?
Ngiyatshona nitshona njani Ntusi?
Hayi sithonile kakhulu. Akusitshela ukuthi wona umbono wakho ume njani xa sikhuluma ngakhonokho okwama prepaid water meters.
Mina ama-prepaid water meters ngibona ukuthi a-right afakwe, ngoba nxa uye ngama-prepaid water meters enjalo uyakwazi usebenzisa amanzi anganani ngenyanga, njalo njengokuthi kathi nxa utshiya indlu, njengabantu esihlala phandle, nxa uyitshiyile oBulawayo abantu behlala berenta, nxa ibhili ephonga ubuya ingaziwa, umuntu engabona ibhili inengi uyahamba engabhadalanga ibhili, uzafica ukuthi uyakweleta ibhili yamanzi asemuva. But nxa kuyikuthi imitha le ethengwayo kuba ngcono, ngoba umuntu uyathenga amanzi asebenzisa aqede lapha angaphela phelile angaqeda juice nje uthi usenziwa njani kade samagesi, ngoba imithi ephonga ubuya ibhili yabo iphezulu, lamanzi ankhona ungakwazi ukuthi asebenziseni le yadi ngela zilimo kumbe ezilinyiwe othelela ngazo.
Khonapho ke eBotswana kume njani? Akhona yini ama-prepaid meters?
Hayi ngapha akafakwa, kodwa ngike ngizwa indaba yangikhona beyikhuluma ukuthi azafakwa. Into asebayitshintsha kuphela ngamagesi, amanzi bebengakatshintshi, kodwa ngizwa besithi bakhangele ukuthi ensukwini ezizayo onke umuntu akwanisa ukuthi azithengele amanzi, akwanisa ukuthi azithengele amagesi, ngoba uzithengela amanzi lokuseva amanzi ungaseva, ngeke uphonga ubona impompo ezichithekayo, amamitha avuzayo, uyabuka ukuthi amanzi avuza ngamanzi wathenga wabhadalela. Kungafanele imitha ephonga ubuya nje, ungakwazi ukuthi imitha le imitha emalini, isebenzisa amanzi emalini, uzabhadala kumbe azavala kumbe aza njani. But nxa uvele wabhadalela kungcono, ngoba uyabe ukwazi ukuthi ubhadalela amanzi anganani ngenyanga ubudget ukwazi ukuthi inyanga le ngisebenzisa amanzi angaka yikho kupheleleyo kuphela ngoba imithi ebuya yabuya ukuthatha imali ukuthi uyabuzibuza la ukuthi kanti kule mpompi evuzayo khona kungela
kodwa abaphikisayo lapha phela bathi
kwesikhathi awula mali yokuyabhadala but nxa uzithengela uyathenga ukwazi ukuthi uthenga amanzi anganani
abaphikisayo-ke inkosikazi ne bathi uhulumende udlala isikelemla uyenze ngazani amakhansela lawa angani enxa athola okunye khonapho kuma-prepaid meters so wena ungathini ngakhona?
Mina ngiboni lapho angiboni ukuthi uhulumende ngabe dlala isikene ngibone ngani ukunceda nje ngenye indlela enye izi njengasinceda nje ukuthi abantu abaningi yabona ukuthi indaba yamanzi naleyo kusuku ngikhuluma sonya nje sengila lapha isikhathi esiningi uzothiwa amanzi evaliwe umuntu ade sendlini yabe sethuthile wahamba ibhili yabe ichile iyabe imforce ukuthi mina ngibhadale ngapho kwezethu kuze ungenene umuntu omutsha endlini kodwa nxa kuyukuthi umuntu lona uyazithengela amanzi angathenga kuphela waphelile noma sembuya afaka umuntu ngekwazi ukuthenga amanzi umuntu azithengela amanzi azidlala endlini ofuthi mina ngibona ngani indaba le yakuthi abantu bethenga amanzi is better than ibhile ebuya kuphela ungakwazi ukuthi ubhadalela malini.
Hayi sibongile kakhulu-ke ungadinela kusasa siza ungakhohlwa ukuphenduka phela.
Hayi angisoze ngikhohlwe.
Sibongile baba.
Lisithunele namhla shwathi nasemsindweni asikwanisa ukulibamba kuhle.
Yebo hayi sizabona ukuthi singenza njani mama.
All right, ngiyabonga tu.
Hayi sibongile kakhulu. Yeah, okay. So what she's saying, she's supporting this idea, saying that it's a good idea, like, putting some meters on power regulation. So she says these power meters may actually serve certain people, like those that are staying in the diaspora, who end up paying bills back home when tenants fail to pay, for water bills. So she says, yeah, this is the way to go.
Interesting point right there. We have some messages still on WhatsApp, Gibbs.
Or maybe we'll go to Fire then.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Mr. Fire, I think you heard the lady there. What is your reaction to what she said?
There are a number of things that I want to clarify. The first issue is that when we say we don't want prepaid water meters, we are not saying that residents should not pay for their water. We have been very clear on that residents should pay. That is how local authorities will survive. But we have also been very clear on the fact that when we speak for the poor. We don't speak for the elite. And now, if you look at the example that has just been given, this is a lady who is in Botswana, who has left people in his house, who has left tenants in his house. Sometimes we have 3 or 4 tenants in one house. And in terms of research, what we have discovered is that when it comes to prepaid ZESA meters, there are problems because people are fighting and saying, I'm paying, but I'm not using the electricity. It is those others that are in that house. And our argument is that as local authorities try to look into that mechanism to say, okay, fine, what happens in houses where 3 or 4 families stay? How do you regulate the use of that water in terms of the prepaid of the prepaid water meter? But also to say, you see, our thinking is that the problem is that the prepaid water meters they disrupt the social cohesion. We all know that what usually happens amongst us, especially amongst us African people, is that when there is a funeral, I am allowed to bath or use water next door. But what you are simply doing is that next time I cannot ask from my neighbor to use water or to ask for a glass of water because simply those people have budgeted for their water. And for us, it is an African. And our major problem is that these local authorities, the councillors and these councils, are the government bodies that are closer to the people. They should understand the plight of the people. And right now, Councillor Kole should know that there are more than 20 companies that have closed in Bulawayo since January. And how do they expect those people to survive? They are simply saying that those people who have no money should not use water. And as I said before, what about the women that have milk that needs more water? What about the sick that needs more water? So what are we doing about those things?
Okay,
and
we'll cut you there.
These are considerations that have to be taken when the Bulawayo City Council is thinking about those things.
Thank you very much, Blessing.
Yeah, maybe it's an interesting one. Let's bring in Mr. Shumba there. Oh, before I go to Mr. Shumba, let me just ask Councillor Ndlovu just one question. Councillor Ndlovu, there's the question of unemployment. I think some people are saying this might be a noble idea in a functioning economy, but if you have an economy like Zimbabwe's, where 90% of the people are unemployed, is this going to work?
Yeah, I think that is a good idea to put prepaid meter because, like I said before, we are giving 5,000 liters free, and if we are poor, can't use more than 5,000 liters per month.
But unfortunately, the majority of people are actually poor.
Councillor Ndlovu. Penalties and the like. But this time, they are not going to get penalties.
I was saying, Councillor Ndlovu, because of the unemployment, the majority of people are actually poor. So you might end up saving maybe 10% of the population.
Yeah, with the prepaid meters, we are giving people free water in Bulawayo. We are not paying for water.
Interesting. Mr. Shumba, if you can chip in.
I think from our meetings in the communities, the major reason residents are objecting to the introduction of prepaid water meters, like my colleague Fayayo has indicated. Suppose a person in Mavuku where they don't get water, but they have a prepaid water meter. During a demonstration meeting at the townhouse, when they invited us, the technical person indicated that there is a risk of air blowing through the meters and making it move. Thereby, it is a cost to the resident, even if water is not passed through. The issues to do with water, your water that you would have bought for that month, being overused during the course of the month and finishing, say, around the 16th or the 8th of the month because of things like parties, family gatherings, funerals, church activities at the household. What is the issue? Because with the ZESA, if your electricity runs out and you have purchased for a certain bracket, it means the cost of your electricity is rising from being household charge to commercial charge. What it means, the additional units of electricity you are buying are now being charged on commercial lines. It means electricity becomes more expensive when you have to buy for a second chance during the course of the month. Most people would find this difficult with regard to water, given that water is life. And 2008, 2009, we had a cholera outbreak, and the council did not have a response mechanism to mitigate against this, like putting in place water bowsers to ensure that we cover residents in the absence of clean municipal water. What is the council going to do when it comes to having more money in their coffers, but not investing in that water, given that the council has a bloated workforce, as in the case of Harare, where we are already facing challenges of them diverting water funds to cover for the salaries of other departments which are not related to water.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shumba. Of course, we still have some messages on WhatsApp. Tsitsi anoti mvura upenyu economy haigadzirwe nekuomesera vanhu vanzwa nenhamo nekuti kutadza kubhadhara kwatiri kuita kuoma kweupenyu. Mamita agara aripo, ngaaramba aripo kweprepaid mvura upenyu, ndatenda hangu wenyu muteereri. Then we have Jabulani anoti uronga hwemakanzuru uhu haufanirwe kubudirira zvachose. Vanhu vazhinji havana mabasa, kureva kuti maprepaid water meters aya akangobvumidzwa chete, veruzhinji vachatorarama nekumwa mvura dzemurwizi. Izvi zvinogona kudaidzawo zvirwere zvakaita sekolera. Kana usina mari hauna mvura, kureva kuti mvura kuvapfumi varombo kurwizi. Coris anoti paurongwa hwekanzuru ndoona zvakanaka, nekuti zvakangofanana nezvinongoitwawo pamagetsi ariko mazuva ano. Of course, it's continuing the division that we are seeing amongst the residents. Some are saying it's okay, and others are saying no, this should not be allowed, because many Zimbabweans are not working, so it will be really problematic. Gibbs.
Yeah, baba faye upoke singakhuluma ilanga lezitshone, kodwa ke singathi ke kupokwenziweni lapha nathi uhlupho la.
Kulento ezimbi efuna ukuzikhuluma thina baduke ezokuthi one hayi thina izakhamizi zisitshela ukuthi kazifuni. Lama councillors lawathi hayi izakhamizi ziyawatshethi ziyafuna. Into ukuthi kulesikhathi lapho sizafika khona uzafanele sidade sonke ukuthi hayi oqinisekileyo ngowuphi, and hayi sizafunela isikhathi sankhona sizabakwazi. And thina our proposal njengezakhamizi ukuthi hayi nxa kuyikuthi ama-councils wonke lawa afuna ukufaka ama-meters, hayi kahambe eyefaka enkambeni zamapolisa, kahambe eyefaka emhlathandlela kuma-government complex khona ngale, ngoba yikho lapho kunezikhothi ezikhulu kakhulu khona. Nxa uhulumende sefaka fakani khona ngale, sibonga ukuthi kuzawenza njani. Otherwise thina we emphasize again that kuqakathekile ukuthi ama-councillors bezakhamizi kuhlale phansi kuxoxiswane ukwenzela ukuthi inhlelo ezikhitshwa yikhansili zibe yinhlelo eziresponda to ama-problems ezakhamizi, hayi khona to ama-problems abo-councillor kumbe abantu basebenza emakhansilini, ama-problems ezikhwama zabo kumbe ama-problems angaphi. Ngicabanga ukuthi akufuzanga ukuthi kube njalo. Kuqakathekile ukuthi kuhlaliswane phansi kuxoxiswane ngaso sonke isikhathi. And ngicabanga ukuthi idebate le yama-prepaid iqakathekile kakhulu, kodwa bekufanele ukuthi ngabe siyenze ikhansili yakoBulawayo ingakafaki i-resolution. Hayi konke bekhansili efake i-resolution bese ikhansili kwenza bese kwenza i-discussion after that. Ngicabanga ukuthi kurongo khona.
Yes, siyawuzwa kakhulu ke Mnumzana Fayo. According to Mr. Fayo, he says one solution is to wait and see what is going to happen. But at the end of the day, he says there's need for councils, to sit down with their residents and then make a decision out of it, what to do. So he says it's really fascinating that the Bulawayo City Council actually came out with a resolution. Then now they're engaging people. After having that resolution, to say let's put the paid water meters. Strange, that is right.
Councillor Ndlovu, are you consulting the residents before you take some of these decisions?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that before. We started with consultation first before we made a resolution. That's what we did.
Is that true, Mr. Fayo?
Maybe Councillor Ndlovu has not read the minutes of 2013 in December, where Council actually was not in that meeting. The meeting that resolved that he was not in that meeting. He is the only councillor who was not in that meeting. And the minutes are very clear that we will put prepaid water meters. But before we do that, we should consult. And that simply means that the council was acknowledging that they had not consulted before and they need to consult after. And this is what we are saying, that the council should not first put resolutions before consulting. They should consult first. It is written in the minutes. Maybe either he was not there or maybe he is not able to understand the minutes.
Councillor Ndlovu, were you MIA, missing in action?
I think what he is saying, if I am not there, it doesn't mean I didn't do the consultation. What we did, we sat down, we had a meeting with residents. Then the minutes which we were discussing, that's the minutes which went to the council. So if he says there was a resolution from where was that resolution come from? Those were the minutes which were set with the residents.
Thank you, Councillor Ndlovu. Let's bring in Mr. Shumba. Mr. Shumba, is there a wide consultation between the council and the residents? What's happening?
There is no consultation. Actually, the city's public relations department is churning out statements profiling the position of the town clerk, and you are aware that probably because of their connection with the state media, it would appear that this issue of prepaid water meters is being promoted, particularly by the Sunday Mail Herald. They are profiling the town clerk of Harare, making his statements, but not challenging him on issues of governance. The councillors in the communities are simply not, most of them are not holding feedback community meetings. We have about 8 councillors that have consistently tried to share their thoughts on this with residents, but most residents have rejected the idea of prepaid water meters, because the question is there a relationship between availability of water and the prepaid water meters? If the question is no, then they must first address the issue of availability before think of bringing in another mechanism to improve billing, because all residents have meters in their premises, but most of these meters have become dysfunctional. There are no consultations, to say the least.
Thank you so much. Gibbs.
Your last word, Mr. Fire?
My last word is that, like I said, it is important that council consult residents. It is important that decisions that are made by council are a result of consultation. And also what is important is that it shall come judgment time when all of us will have to defend our decisions. And I hope that all councils will be able at that particular moment to defend their decisions.
When is that time coming?
It might be election time.
Yeah, but the decision time, you see, most of the councillors are doing it for the money. They are being coerced into agreeing to management positions because of the benefits of being persuaded to attend workshops in Vic Falls, in Wange, in Nyanga, in most of these resort areas. But definitely from 2017, these officials will begin to show their true colors, that they have betrayed the councillors, and the councillors will have to face the masses in their respective wards. Those entertaining hopes of returning to council will find it very difficult to convince them that we sold you snakes, and the snakes are biting us.
Yeah, let's
get the councillor. Councillor Ndlovu, you are hearing those threats from residents that they might not retain you and your lot.
Yeah, I hear all the threats from the residents, but the fact is, me as a ward councillor, I report back every month. After full council, I report back. After full council on Wednesday, coming Sunday, I report back to the residents every month.
Thank you, Council. Unfortunately, time is not our best ally, but we want to thank our guests this evening, Mr. Precious Shumba, Harare Residents Trust, then Mr. Roderick Fayayo, Director, Bulawayo Progressive Residents Association, and Councillor Colette Ndlovu. We also want to thank our listeners, viewers, callers, those who sent messages on Facebook and WhatsApp, and of course our team behind the scenes, our producers and engineers. Signing off and saying have a blessed weekend. This is yours truly, Blessing Zulu.
And I'm Gibbs Dube saying good night, Zimbabwe.